This I'm excited about. This is the G.I. Joe Original Action Team box set. It was a 30th anniversary commemorative edition honoring the original G.I. Joe team, the 12-inch G.I. Joes, as I'm sure we're all familiar with, that began. This is 1964 to 1994, so there is some debate, but we'll go with that. So this is commemorating them. You can see that they are not like any of the 94 Joes. These, there's a soldier, there's a Marine, a sailor, a pilot, and an astronaut. So looking very similar to the original G.I. Joe figures from 1963, 1964. This is a really cool set. I was really excited to get this at the flea market this past weekend. And just a little bit of background on this and some of the figures. So the soldier, the Marine, the sailor, and the pilot all came carded individually. They were in this cool box that it would open up. I don't know if you call it I guess it's not really die cast. I'm not a gatefold. I'm not really sure what you would call it. I'm thinking of comic book terms. But really cool, and they display well. So the action soldier and the action Marine in this set are the same as the carded ones, or the individually carded ones, I should say. The sailor, this one is orange. In the regular individual release, he's black. In this box set, the pilot has a blue outfit on. The individual one has an orange outfit. And the astronaut in the space capsule you can only get in this box set right here. So that is really the cool thing about this, is you can't get that astronaut anywhere. Also, the sailor, Marine, the pilot, and the soldier, excuse me, those were all made into keychains in 1998, so you might have seen those around. But the soldier and the Marine, they're not different from their individual ones. One, I can't remember if it was the Marine or the soldier, has a different serial number on the bottom of his foot. The other one had different colored accessories in here versus the individual carded. And then you can see their file cards on the back. So the soldier and the Marine on really any of them, the individual cards, they're painted. And here you can see it's actually they're photographs of the figures. So there are some differences, for the completists that want to get each version. Part of me doesn't want to open this. It displays well, it's cool. But, in looking at this, especially, again, that astronaut, the thing that is the reason to get this, main reason. So that our astronaut friend there, he has been trapped in that bubble, in that prison for 22 years. He's a mere, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches away from that space capsule. But he wants to be in there, right? I mean, any astronaut wants to go into space. They want to be in space capsules and spaceships and things like that. So he's been sitting there very patiently for 22 years, not able to get into that space capsule. So we're going to help him out here. We're going to free him from his prison along with the other figures. You can see some of the accessories there, the missile launchers. The pilot has a parachute, but there's actually, I don't know how well you can see this in the video, but the way they're displayed, it's kind of slanted. And there are more accessories in there. There's actually quite a bit more, and they're very cool. This is a very cool, these are very cool figures to display on a shelf. And, I know there's some debate about, opening versus not opening vintage figures. And I get both sides, and there are things I would never open. I'm not going to open an 85 Snake Eyes. I'm not going to open a Masters of the Universe Scareglow. But as you've seen, if you've watched my previous videos, some of the more common ones, the Ninja Force stuff, some of the Battle Corps or the Star Brigade, things like that aren't very aren't as collectible, aren't as popular, aren't as valuable, or maybe something that might be damaged. I've opened a few things where the card or the bubble is just horrendous, and it's not even really, it doesn't look good as a display. So again, this does display well on the shelf as is, but these figures are really cool, and I think they display well on their own, open, loose, complete. And obviously you're getting mint versions of these. So I'm going to open this guy up here, and The tape's already kind of peeling off. I got this knife. I'm not actually sure how this is packaged on the inside, or at least how it's arranged. Okay, so you see we have some bags here. Bags of, there's some trees there with some weapons. That's for the sailor. He's got a little boat. The Marine here has a backpack and a raft. Also some accessories that are kind of on a tree inside the raft. That's kind of cool. This is the backpack and some kind of strap for the, this says Air Force, but for the pilot. This is for the Army soldier. There's a backpack. There's a brick wall. That's what I was mentioning before, how they're different colors, because I actually have this as well upstairs, and those are brown, so those are different colors. I should mention this too, this sled and the accessories. For the individual one, they were blue. For this box set, they're black, so those are definitely different. We have a G.I. Joe Hall of Fame catalog with some of the 12-inch figures. There's some Street Fighter stuff there on the back. Nice little checklist of the Street Fighter figures, a collector's guide. Oh, no, you got all kinds of stuff here. You got Star Brigade, Battle Corps, all kinds of cool stuff. So that's a cool insert. I've actually never seen that. Some people really into inserts. I'm not, but that was kind of cool. And all right, looks like that's it for all the sort of extras. So now we're going to get to the main stuff here, and they're all, well, I guess just the space capsules twist tied. So we're going to untwist tie the space capsule, which is again really cool. And as I'm doing this, a fun fact: this box set was also released in Canada, and if you're a collector, you know that Canadian figures have dual language, English and French. And the Canadian version of this actually has the Canadian flag on there, and it says Canada. That one's far to find. I would not open that one if I came across it, which I never have. And again, I've actually never. This is the first time I came across it, and I was pretty excited to find it because I actually don't own these two guys right here, the astronaut and that blue pilot. So working on my master set, getting ever so closer to that. All right, so there we got the capsule. It stands up pretty good. And then these guys are just on a bubble. To kind of peel this off. Set that aside with the sailor. I should do it like this so they don't fall everywhere. I remember as a kid, from the store with a parent or somebody and getting G.I. Joes and opening them in the car, and obviously you're dropping things all over the place, especially things like Heat Viper with all those little missiles and stuff like that. So here is the sailor. Here's his launcher, which goes with the sled, which we'll look at in a minute. Oh wow. This is, I always get these confused. This is the Marine, because he's got camo. The soldier, he actually just broke his O-ring. It was deteriorated. That was kind of interesting. I've actually seen, and I'm sure some other collectors have seen, figures on the card with a busted O-ring, and that's never fun, especially when they're valuable figures. So this guy is cool. This is the astronaut. He was not made anywhere else, not with anything else. No keychain, no nothing. So you can only get him here in this box set. He was cool. Again, the blue pilot, which is exclusive to this, he was carded individually. He was orange in that case. He was also kind of an all-black paint scheme as part of the one of the G.I. Joe conventions, I think maybe 94. So also the sailor was a convention figure as well. He came in a different kind of card, kind of a box that looked like the old 12-inch boxes. So interestingly, no blueprints or no instructions. I mean, obviously it's not too hard to figure out, but generally, this backpack here, open this guy up for the pilot. I'm not exactly sure the mold, but it does look like the Sky Patrol mold, and it does have a parachute, so you might want to explain to kids kind of how you do that. But I'll worry about busting that off the tree later. Really want to get this guy in here. He has been very patient, really wanting to get in this space capsule. I close the door there. It's kind of hard to, very cramped. That's kind of one of the problems with going to space. So there he is. That's cool. That's going on the shelf. That's a really neat thing. You can see at the top that has the old school G.I. Joe logo from the 12-inch. It's kind of what's on the top of the box too, and I guess it's not really on the front, but yeah, it's there. It's on the front, the kind of commemorative edition. So yeah, so some really cool figures. This is for the sailor. He came with some flippers, as we've seen on many figures. And he's got a breather tube, which always gets lost. These things are actually, it's kind of interesting, the sled and his backpack are actually in pieces, so you have to kind of assemble those. So I'm not going to waste too much time with that because it's kind of boring. There's obviously a wetsuit, flashlight. I mentioned the soldier. This is a backpack. These backpacks come up frequently on the action figure ID site. So if you ever see something like this, generally it goes to that. I think it might actually be another line it might go to, Stargate possibly, not 100% certain. But this brick wall is very cool. This goes with the soldier who's in pieces, so we'll give it to the Marine here. Get him on his figure stand. So again, you can see this comes with a lot of stuff. So these, I really don't want to say how much I paid for this. I got it for a pretty good deal, but I've seen them for sale. I mean, with shipping, $50. I mean, it's a large package, so obviously it's going to cost you more to ship. But honestly, for 5 figures and the space capsule and all these accessories, even at $50, I think that's a good deal. I mean, that's $10 a figure plus the free capsule, plus file cards. I mean, if you want to consider that. I personally, for really any file card that's in decent shape, I'll pay $1 for. Obviously, if they're more valuable, I'll pay more for, or if they're in not great shape, I'll pay less than that. But you figure the file cards alone there, $5. The space capsule, I would easily pay $5 for that loose. So there's 10, and you got the 5 figures. So you kind of do the math. So sometimes it actually makes sense to buy things on the card if they're, again, some of these later lines, because you're getting it complete, you're getting it mint condition, you're getting it with the file card. You can cut the file cards out yourself. I'm actually still debating whether or not I'm going to cut the file cards out of the back of this, because I think that is one thing. I might keep the box intact, just because I think it's pretty cool. So you got some sandbags. You got a little, I assume that's a gun. Maybe it's some sort of telescope. You have a missile launcher. This obviously goes with him, but sometimes these missile launchers don't really work too well. Let's see. That works great. And he's got a rifle. The Marine was actually standing in for our fallen soldier here. His stuff is cool. Another one of these backpacks that I think they also used in Stargate. This is cool. I've never seen this. This is new to me, so that's really interesting. So the tree is actually built into his raft. So I like that. That is pretty slick. So I'm going to break those out of there. I'm kind of hesitant because I actually have him. You know what? I might actually hold off on that because I actually have him. I have this stuff. I might leave that as is. I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat thing. I didn't see that on Yojo or anywhere else. So I'm gonna keep him like that. The sled I'll assemble later. Again, that's pretty boring. The strap obviously goes with the backpack for our pilot friend there. He doesn't have a stand. Neither does this guy. There's only one stand. That's kind of an interesting thing. Only one stand. I was hoping there'd be 5 stands because I like the stands. But anywho, so you got all your guys here. The raft actually has like a little, I don't know what you would call it, kind of a holder to put the rifle. You have one oar. The oar can stick on there. Actually, the rifle can stick on the side of the raft as well. It's a little wonky. Doesn't stay perfectly. So Yeah, so I mean, I'm looking at a couple handguns, a couple rifles, a harpoon, 4 missile launchers, a backpack, a sled, a raft, an oar, two more backpacks, a parachute, a helmet and a mask, some flippers, an air tube, a flashlight, you know, a wall with some other things on there, the space capsule, obviously the astronaut's helmet, the box, the file cards, the insert. There's a lot of stuff here. This is a really cool thing. I'd recommend, you get this. I think it's a nice breath of fresh air after some of those weird 93 and 94 figures. They got a little weird. We all know that. Some of them I love. I love the Cobra Commander, I think it's version 7 with a weird suction cup thing. I like Cobra Black Star. I like Ice Cream Soldier. But obviously, some of those are kind of weird. So these guys are cool. They're pretty straight up. I mean, they're very, very military. They look like, soldiers. So if you want to have some kind of display or diorama or something like that, they're pretty cool. So this was the G.I. Joe Original Action Team Commemorative Collection box set. So that was a really fun thing to open. I was glad to be able to share that with you. I'm going to have fun kind of getting some of these things off the trees, putting it together, displaying this on my shelf, and kind of pairing it with some of the other loose guys I have here in different colors. And yeah, so until next time, I'll be opening up some more stuff soon. This is again a pretty special one. Really glad to be able to find this the other day. So, yo Joe.